Hi, you right, loves? My name is Intergalactic Planetary Intergalactic Space Lady Crudy Dench, and welcome to another episode of Yorkshire Tea! Episode 4 has lobbed itself out, and in contrast to my critique last week, this week's cold open is very different. The tension between Ginny and Lawrence has bubbled to the brim, but as is the case with Drag Race UK, I feel like I'm just being edged by the drama, and it all feels a bit awkward. I just want the sweet release of a big slagging match, you know? The only bit I did enjoy about this exchange was realising that Lawrence Chaney's eyebrows look a bit like a moustache. On the other hand, the tension between Tia and Ahura I love. Look at this look from Tia. Ah ha ha! This is the stuff we want, setting us up nicely for the Tia and Ahura story arc this week. The next day, Taste jumps on the Tia-bashing bandwagon, with Veronica jumping to her defence, pointing out Tia's
total package.
Ahura tries to get a nice word in edgeways, but is reminded of her comments in the last episode before being saved by them. The mini-challenge this week is some basic improv. A fun premise where they have to pick a cake and sell it. This is actual improv compared to the main challenge later, which is not. The performances in the mini-challenge this week certainly gave me a soggy bottom. As a full-on diarrhea shit myself over how awkwardly bad most of them were. Bimini is the winner by virtue of being fairly witty, rather than just saying something along the lines of,
I love creams in my eclairs, in my buns, and up my arse!
The main challenge this week is for the Queens to pair up and host a segment of a brand new breakfast TV show, Morning Glory. Penis. I think this is a really good challenge setup. Hosting is the sort of bread and butter skill that a drag queen should have. What I dislike is this being referred to as an improv challenge. Having been an improv performer for about 8 or 9 years now, for me, improv is getting a prompt and BAM! You're in a scene, you're performing a scene. Not being able to pick my prompt and then having time beforehand to basically come up with the entire bit. That's just shit theatre. Or any drama production I've seen at the Edinburgh Fringe. When picking out the roles, all the pairs seem to be fairly symbiotic, apart from Tia and Ahura, who have paired up to be the Essex Queens. And unlike the Rusical challenge, Veronica has fallen victim to being left with a role that perhaps is not best suited to her demeanour. Like, I could have really seen her as one of the kids' TV presenters, you know, because she looks like a child.
A child.
Rue then goes around the workroom to fill some time. Apart from this great moment where Ellie Diamond trips up Rupaul.
You keep saying Lawrence. Why do you not say it in Ellie Diamond?
What makes this great is it's not a particularly difficult question or an unreasonable question for Ellie to ask, yet Rupaul is still struggling for an answer. Not so good at improv yourself there, Rupaul, are you? Challenge time, and we are joined by the wonderful Lorraine Kelly.
Can you see my growler?
As for the challenge itself, I did not laugh once. In fact, the only time I did laugh was at Tia's confessionals, which are pretty much my favourite thing about this episode.
Sometimes play the straight man, I guess. I'd never play a straight man. How dare you?
The thing I just don't get is why couldn't the Queens just present as themselves? Why did they have to have these characters thrust upon them? The Queens who acted most like themselves were the most successful in presenting, whilst those playing characters were just bad. Judging what little improv we did see here, obviously Veronica committed an improv sin by blocking the scene, admitting that she doesn't know what's going on. There's a lot of crosstalk from a lot of them, and though most of the time I would say putting an Australian accent on anything immediately makes it funnier, it was not enough to save Ginny's performance. If you have seen or been involved in any university improv, you have seen this improv performer. Just hyper, loud, blocking themselves from giving us anything of substance in the scene. Going back to Veronica and Sisters segment, this seems to be an issue that comes up in Drag Race a lot, in that Queens don't seem to be able to make goths funny. Which they can! I refuse to believe that goths can't be funny. Let us not forget.
Raven, your acid bath princess of the darkness.
The next day the Queens are getting ready and doing the sad bits, and to be honest, it feels like we're scraping the barrel a little bit here. I mean, the most interesting part of Sister and Ginny's one-to-one is watching Ellie Diamond blow her nose in the background. She's blowing her nose, she's blowing prosthetic nose, she's blowing her nose. See what I did there? Yeah. And we get the resolution to Tia and Ahora's friendship arc. But I don't know. This Ahora's whole thing, it just felt a bit like...
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me, but I can't help it that I'm popular.
Onto the runway, and Rue, watch out, you'll have somebody's eye out with them. My tops on the runway this week. Bimini, I thought, looked great, equal parts sexy and grotesque. It was like a Ralph Bakshi cartoon. Oh, look at me and my references. Oh, aren't I clever and well read? Also, she's left, but you've got to see Joe Black's look for this runway. Oh, it's perfect. She would have done goth funny. Bottoms! I wasn't a huge fan of how Ellie's look was constructed, and Ahora's look was just vanilla. And that brain thing I've seen done so many times before. How's your head, Ahora? Sloppy and unoriginal. The judges judged the Judies. We find out what fibromyalgia means.
Which is chronic pain.
And back in the workroom, we have an interesting situation developing. Tia has to admit that Veronica did the worst in the main challenge and is primed for the chopping block, despite Veronica consistently defending Tia in previous episodes, even when she's been bad. This all comes to a juicy head when the girls come back and Veronica is not happy. I can't take her seriously in that fucking pig face. I'm sorry, it's fucking stupid.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Sister also finally gets a good confessional gag in.
Veronica's Drag Race. It's dead boring.
Shame she couldn't have applied that to the challenge. Yeah. But in the bottom two, it's Sister and Ginny. Now, let's delve into this, shall we? We've all heard the rumours about what happened or what didn't happen during the filming of this particular part of the episode. Some positive and some very, very negative. But like most of the pissed off queens in the background of the lip sync, I failed to see what's so iconic about this moment. One of the things I heard was that Ginny was continuing to lip sync backstage as she was packing her stuff up. Which, if she was, would have been great to sort of intercut with the lip sync and see. But they probably didn't have any cameras or lighting set up in the workroom at that point, so it wouldn't have been captured anyway. And this is clearly a pickup shot. Ginny has said in both confessionals and in interviews outside of the show that she wanted to go in to fuck things up and be punk. Despite being Rupaul's little bitch last week. But what this self-elimination does is, rather than being a selfless act towards her sister, it comes off as a selfish act, because now we're not focusing on Sister doing the lip sync. Did she even lip sync? I can't remember. The situation created here now is
whenever
Ginny
he's not on screen, all the other characters should be
thinking,
where's
Ginny? The better thing to do would have been to lip sync, or at least stay somewhere in the main stage area so she is visible and can support her fellow sisters. I do love Ginny Lemon. She's funny, but the lyrics really speak to the whole situation here. Get out of my life, why don't you, Bab? Because you don't really love her, you just keep Sister hanging on. Leaving us with a fairly lackluster ending to a fairly lackluster episode. Again, the best thing about that lip sync and the whole episode is Tia's confessionals.
Ginny is gone, and Sister, she is too busy whipping the thinnest ponytail of all time.
Not so basic now, she's propping up the whole show, eh? That's it from me this week. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, heard or experienced in this little video, then please do subscribe, share this video with your friends, comment below, did you enjoy the episode? What were your highlights? Tell me, indulge me. Don't forget to follow me on all the socials. It's at CrudyDench, that's Crudy with an I, like Judy but far more crude. And I'll see you next time for another scalding cup of Yorkshire tea with me, Crudy Dench. Oh, it all bloody kicks off next week, doesn't it? Heck!